All right, so lesson 3.2, just kind of where we're at here, or 3.3, excuse me. We're looking at things that line up. So the first real problem was the t-shirt problem. And we played around with the given information and we came up with an equation where the Y, their profit, was equal to 10 times X, the number of t-shirts, minus 75. And that was a combination of the money they make selling t-shirts and the cost of doing those t-shirts. So just a reminder here, the Y was the profit and the X was the number of t-shirts.
And you know, we got it wrong by putting X. If you didn't put N in, you got it wrong.
Yeah, you got to pay attention to which variables they ask for. Yeah, so I could also write it given the variables that we were asked about, which would be P for profit would be 10, N minus 75. And I bounce back and forth, sorry about that, between
That's okay.
N and the letter X. And if that gets messed up due to my error, then send me a message through the homework system and I will gladly give you part of a point back. So just some things about this, the 10 was that value we call M. That's what we call a slope, and it's the rate of change. And the change I would write as 10 over 1, and that would be $10 per one t-shirt. The 75 is the starting value, and so that's the point 0, negative 75. And what it means is if there's 0 t-shirts sold, then they have a profit of negative $75, which really would be a loss, right?
Right.
So I just want to talk about the next problem and the share your work problem, and then the rest of the time for classes, you guys to work together on whatever you need to, or do your own thing. So next problem, next page. So in this case here, we've got a local coffee shop. You can preload a card with money on it, kind of like a debit card, but just for coffee. And you want to have a card with 50 bucks on it. And the drink you like to get is $2.63. And you're going to get a drink each day. And then in problem 10, what we want to do is we want to estimate, right? So that's kind of like a guess. If you only purchase coffee on weekdays, right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not Friday, not Saturday or Sunday, will you make it through a month? Okay, so that's kind of a guess. But what I want to do is I want to take the information given and see if I can write an equation for it.
You don't consider Friday though?
Yeah, I don't know why I left out Friday. Yeah, so weekdays would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Okay, thank you.
So excluding Saturday and Sunday.
Monday through Friday.
So Monday through Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Now we're starting with 50 bucks, right? Starting with, so that's our initial value. And then each latte costs $2.63. So that's $2.63 per latte is my summary here. So I'm going to write that in my notes for the latte problem. So we have what I'm calling the initial value, the start.
Is that the 50?
That's the B, and that's our 50. Yep. And then we have our rate of change. And that's the thing, looking at a situation, decide which number, if it is that way, is one of the numbers initial value, is the other a rate of change? If it is, then we can do an equation like this. So the rate of change, that's our M, and that is 263. And off to the side, I'm just gonna write that's dollars per coffee, or latte. I guess I should call it a latte, but I'm gonna call it a coffee.
Rate of change equals.
Now, the variables I'm looking at here, what are my variables? So we have an independent variable, independent, that's our X, but they're probably gonna tell us to use a different letter. Independent, so we'll double check that. And Y is our dependent. And what I'm asked about here is the number of coffees that are purchased. That's pretty straightforward. That's going to be our independent, because we could do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And the dependent, the balance on our card depends on how many coffees we buy, right? So that's dependent, balance on the card.
Is it dependent because that starting thing does not change?
No, the starting thing definitely changed, right? We start at 50, but then I start buying coffees and all of a sudden I have less than 50 bucks on my card.
Okay, so the balance on the card is what changes. Got it.
Yeah, that's what changes, right? The balance depends on how many coffees I bought.
Okay,
So
thank
that's why
you.
it's the dependent.
I'm not trying to play dumb. I really
No.
get those
Yeah,
mixed up.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do too. I have to think about them hard. So the balance depends on the number of coffees. All right. So as far as the whole y equals mx plus b thing goes, and then we'll switch letters as necessary. Y again is just the variable. It stays y. Now the slope 263. It's really a negative, right? Because that's coming off of my card. I got to pay that amount. So it's a negative 263 because they're charging me. But I start at 50 bucks. So starting with 50, I take off 263 per coffee is what that equation says.
Okay, so do you go, okay, it says for the balance start with B, so would it be B equals?
No.
No, okay.
Well, I got to go back and yeah, so let me look at the variables they want me to use. So if I scroll down here, it says, okay, so you're on question 11. If you
Uh-huh.
purchase a latte every weekday, that's important, create a formula for the linear model for the balance B. Now I was calling it Y, they're saying, no, call it B. And they're calling each weekday, which is each time I get a coffee, they're calling that T. So I'm gonna write my equation again. They're using a capital B, not a lowercase b. So I got
Right.
confused there when you said the word B, but now I'm with you. So
Okay.
my equation would be capital B equals negative 263, 2.63 T plus 50. And so that's what we're going to analyze for the second part.